Attention listener. If you can hear this, then you've tuned in to our top secret radio frequency. But not to be alarmed. Kick back, relax, and enjoy. We're talking about Marvel and DC, but they don't have it all. At Star Wars, that's easy, but you know who to call. I'm talking about ZaneMan and Jonni Boy. The powers overflow. With a master plan they will deploy on the Hero Chat Show.
Welcome to the Hero Chat Show, where we'll share every 2 weeks a movie that we've seen, a movie coming up, a TV show coming soon, possibly a video game that's coming up or that we're playing. It's mostly DC, Marvel, and Star Wars. Mostly. I'm Jonni Boy.
I'm ZaneMan.
Do we want to jump right into it? Do we want to talk about anything that's happened over the last few weeks?
Yeah, sure. We went to another con. We're going to be talking about the first con we went to in this one. But we went to another con, not as great, but we're going to talk about the better one.
We also watched a couple of the last episodes of Moon Knight, 4, 5, and 6.
That was a little bit ago. And then last week went out to the movies. Yeah, we did. We watched a Marvel movie. They're always great.
Want to jump into it?
Yeah, let's start it off.
Let's do it.
It's the Hero Chat Show at the movies.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, well.
Not and.
Apparently you've been saying it wrong.
The Multiverse of Madness. It's in the Multiverse of Madness.
Well, that's on you.
Doctor Strange casts forbidden spell that opens the doorway to the multiverse, including alternative versions of himself. Worst threat to humanity is too great for the combined effort of Doctor Strange, Wong, and Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah, it's a really good movie in my opinion, but apparently there's been like controversy over it or something.
Yeah, a lot of people online are not really happy with the way they just disregarded WandaVision and went right in, told a story of Wanda still being in pain. I guess people thought that, she went through the 5 stages of grief in the show WandaVision and got over that. And they were not excited to see her come into this with angst and looking for her kids and those types of things.
Well, you can't expect a grieving mother to be over the 5 stages of grief in just a season.
That is true. And the kids were calling out to her at the end, but it was like they were in some kind of trouble. So that's what people were talking about too. They were like, they're calling out, they're in some kind of trouble. Where's mom? And then mom's like basically going after her kids and almost trying to kill, this new character that's not really her kid's age, but just a little bit older than her kids to get to her kids.
It is a little bit backhanded that she is willing to sacrifice this life another kid to get hers back, but I guess there's some kind of truth in the motherly instinct in that. I don't know. I've never been a mother before.
So that is basically America Chavez is the character that we're talking about.
Right.
She's a new character introduced in the Multiverse of Madness, and she's the one that kind of propels the story along because she has this power to jump between multiverses, and Wanda wants that power. I mean, Wanda's always been in the comic books and continues to be, even in the movies, a big threat, to the Avengers. She started off as a big threat to the Avengers. I mean, her and her brother, I was just reading an article, and we know this from watching the Avengers Age of Ultron. They signed up for those tests, her and her brother did.
Right, yeah.
Because of Stark. Something I was just reading was about a Civil War and how Civil War played into it. And Stark was still against her, which I thought was kind of a neat thing to talk about.
I like how her character evolves from a villain into a hero in that movie, and then it starts to not devolve, but like I guess de-escalate maybe, or escalate into a villain again. But eventually she turns back to the good side because that's just who she is. She knows her good nature.
People were upset that it's a Doctor Strange movie and it's more about Wanda Maximoff, but some of the YouTubers, if you watch some of those breakdowns, they were talking about how it is a Doctor Strange story. Doctor Strange goes through the elements and the beats that he has to kind of go through from messing stuff up in the multiverse. He's no longer Sorcerer Supreme. Wong is. There's some, funny moments between them about bowing down and stuff like that. That was fun, that I enjoyed. And he's not the superior, Doctor Strange anymore. And so he's dealing with that. His girlfriend doesn't like him anymore. I mean, they're at the wedding and she's getting married and he's telling her how she feels and it's like a little too late. And, he's dealing with that. So I think it comes full circle towards the end. And we haven't said already, hopefully, if you're listening to this, it's going to be spoilers we're going to be talking about. I don't think we've really spoiled anything thus far, but we will be talking about the whole of the movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, go out and check it out in theaters right now, pause it and come back.
Yeah, you need to pause it specifically and then come back to it if you like go into anything else, then it's not going to work well. You need to be listening to this exact part as you walk into the movie theater, pause it, and then after you see the after credit scenes, you need to turn it back on immediately, or else a meteor will strike your house.
So just make sure, there is spoilers. But he, towards the end, he kind of comes full circle, deals with another Christine from another universe who doesn't love him as well. I mean, he can't find any Christine in any universe that's going to love him. And they're supposed to be, meant to be, and they're not. And then so they introduce a new character. We'll talk about that later, but this new character is someone that is really big, and it's always been big in Doctor Strange's universe. But it's a Doctor Strange story. He ends up fixing the watch that was broken, but he kept it broken because that was semblance of the last thing he had.
His feelings and how he wanted to remember what happened, I guess.
And his feelings for Christine.
Yeah, and that's why by the end he fixes it all up, and then he goes strolling down the street with his fancy new watch.
So, and we'll get into the end credits a little bit later. So people are upset. They think it's a Wanda movie, but like we were talking, I said, well, there was more Doctor Strange variants than there were, Wanda Maximoff variants. So just based on how many variants of the characters there were alone, it's the Doctor Strange movie. I mean, he has Doctor Strange, from our universe, which we find out. Spoiler: 616 is our universe.
Well, if you're following the comics, that's not going to be a big surprise for you.
For us, they always said it was like the 19999999. That's what Jeff Feige said that our universe was, because he said it was never ending.
Yeah.
Now they've given it the 616, which they did in Loki at the Loki show when they were playing some of his tape. It had 616 written on some of the tape.
Well, there was that, but there was also the complete guess made by Mysterio.
Yeah, in the Spider-Man movie. Yeah, Far From Home. Yeah.
Yeah, he did say that this Earth was 616, which I don't know if he knows some kind of knowledge that nobody else knows, or
well, and he also said 833, which the other universe was 838, so it was almost close to the other universe too. If they would have made 833, that would have been just really crazy.
So Christine from that universe says that she created the numbering system.
Yeah.
But how is that multiversal that everyone knows their own number?
Yeah, I don't know. And you don't know your number until you go to that universe. We didn't know it was 616 until we went to that universe, and we didn't know theirs was 838. We never found out the universe that we go to after that. And we're not even really introduced. No, we are introduced to the first Doctor Strange. No, we're introduced to Defender Strange first.
Yeah.
With America Chavez.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, and they're kind of in a middle land, let's say, where there's a book of Ashante.
Ashante?
Not Ashante like the singer, but Vashante.
Okay. They kind of just cut to this, and you're like, whoa, this is a lot. I don't know what's happening. Does that Doctor Strange have a ponytail? And that's your first thought.
Yeah, and you're like, is this our Doctor Strange? And then he's got different magic. So right away, they show him using white magic instead of his regular. He doesn't use purple. He doesn't use red. He
uses like a kind of orange that every one of the sorcerers, I guess, uses.
Yeah, and then when he's using the time stone, it's green.
Yeah.
So it coincide with the stone still, but he's using white in this universe, so we know it's a different one. And then he comes to the realization that America Chavez needs to die because they can't get to the book, and then this monster is after them, with these ruins on him or whatever. And so that's the first Strange we meet our Doctor Strange from our universe.
Well, we've already met him. He just kind of shows up in the movie.
He kind of wakes up from the dream. I kind of like that parallel that they had between him and Wanda. So they show Wanda, and then she's waking up from a dream as well. What she said, hers was a nightmare, his was a dream.
Well, his also is kind of a nightmare if he was seeing exactly what we were seeing. I mean, for any human that sees like this big, giant, one-eyed tentacle monster coming at them and then trying to harm this child next to you. Whoa, that was a nightmare. I don't want that to ever happen again.
Yeah. So he's waking up from the nightmare. America Chavez is now in our universe. They don't really find her like they're looking for per se.
Yeah.
He's at the wedding telling Christine, acting, like Jesus, turning water into wine.
Yeah.
And then he sits there and discusses that with Christine and says, hey, I'm sorry, I did wrong and all that stuff. But it's too late. She's married. I mean, And then,
I think there's still a chance.
It could be. There's a slim chance. They already did the nuptials, so it's not any chance. Oh, but before that, what's his name comes in, with a bad wig. Marvel's famous for doing bad wigs.
It is very strange, the hair that they choose to give some of these people.
Yeah, the other doctor, I mean, he's a doctor, for goodness sakes. He's not going to look that wild with his hair. He's gonna, keep him, even if he hasn't kept himself up, that he's still dealing with the death of his cats and all that kind of stuff. He's still gonna have some pretty decent hair for a doctor, and his hair is just awful. I can't watch. I recently watched the Ant-Man. Yeah, I cannot watch. You know this about me, and I know it's weird. People are gonna on the podcast are gonna be like, he's weird. I can't watch that Ant-Man because of her wig. I just don't like her wig. It's just terrible. That bob wig is just so terrible. So famous for the wigs. They're at the wedding. He jumps off. Really cool, like little scenario. Jumps off the side.
Well, what I like about that scene is that he pulls his little handkerchief, and it's the entire cape just sitting in.
Yeah, the cape is in his handkerchief. Pulls it out, throws it on his back.
He just kind of throws it out. Does this kind of unnecessary flip over the edge.
Superhero move,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then he starts flying towards the monster because he's got to defeat a monster. He's a superhero.
Yeah. Now this monster was supposed to be something else, or people thought it was something else because of What If, but it's actually Gargantos or something like that.
I don't remember.
From what I read, I think that's a Submariner, if I remember correctly from one of the YouTube videos. Villain or whatever with the tentacles. You could see like it's a water type monster. But a lot of people were like they really liked the eyeball, like the movement of the eyeball getting angry and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was kind of
expression.
Kind of cool, kind of scary.
There was a lot of horror elements to this movie.
And I was thinking the first weekend it made $185 million, which was $100 million more than what the last Doctor Strange did.
Oh, wow.
Second weekend it only made like 60. And they said it was the biggest drop off of any Marvel movie, including Black Widow. And I'm thinking that it has a lot to do with the horror elements. Like the kids probably, because a lot of people bring their small kids to these movies.
Yeah.
And they think that they're family friendly. And here they got a lot of scary elements in it. So maybe that's one of the reasons why there was a drop off, or maybe it's all this talk about Wanda's story and people not liking it.
I don't know. It could be due to the controversy around it, is what I was hearing from one of your breakdown videos. I mean, I still liked the movie. I think it held up as not an overly great movie, but like a pretty decently average movie of a Marvel. And I really liked it. So.
Yeah, I like when they team up and they're not doing the Avengers type level threat, but they kind of team up. I like that element. And like I was telling you back in the day when they would try to do more than 2 or 3 people, superheroes in the same movie, you might as well just hang it up. The movie was going to be terrible. In this case, it wasn't. I mean, you had a bunch of Doctor Stranges running around and Wanda's running around and a lot of different elements going on. But people were unhappy because a lot of, I guess, the surprises, they thought there was more surprises, background elements and stuff, and there wasn't. So we talked about Doctor Strange as we're up to 2. When did we meet the third one?
Well, the third one unfortunately had passed.
Yeah, so he was from the 838, but we saw a statue to him. It wasn't actually.
Yeah, so we didn't really see him or his corpse. Unfortunately, has passed to the memorial, and it says something like what does it say on the thing, on the plaque?
World's greatest Avenger. That's what Thor always wants to be.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the other day, we were walking down the street, and you were trying to go across the pedestrian thing on red, and you were trying to reference the movie like that makes it okay.
Yeah. In this particular universe, you went on red and didn't go on green, and so Zane is famous for stopping even when there's no traffic. So I said, we're in that universe where we go on red.
Yeah, famous for means following the law.
True.
When no one's watching, which is actually what the law says. Even do it when no one's watching.
True. We went on red, but we didn't see any pizza balls.
Oh, here I was looking for them.
We didn't find any, so we didn't see any of those. But so you're there with 838 Doctor Strange. We found out died, and then Mordo comes along, and then we shouldn't trust Mordo. Like, we know we shouldn't trust Mordo, and here we are trusting Mordo. Like, what's up?
Well, I mean, he does wittingly say, go on red.
I mean, he is very, very convincing. But you go into the Sanctum Sanctorum and something's going to happen. I mean, every time there's a conversation around some kind of liquid, it doesn't bode well.
Kind of liquid.
Well, Thor was drinking a big beer. They're drinking tea in this one, so it's not, a tasty beverage or whatever, but it's still, some tea. And then all of a sudden they're feeling droopy. Him and, America Chavez jumping into this universe.
They had been drugged.
That Mordo was not to be trusted. We go to the Illuminati. Big reveal that everybody talked about.
It cuts to the scene and you see all these really big people. You see, we're going to say who we see?
Yeah, I mean, because we already told them it was spoilers and we told them that they need to go watch the film. And
of course, you see Captain Britain from the What If series.
Captain Carter,
Captain Britain. I like mine more. Because I'm also referencing the Lego games.
Well, that's true.
Where there was a Captain Britain, which I'm pretty sure there is in the comics or something. I don't know. Yeah, there's Captain Carter, and then you see a Captain Marvel as well, but this time it's
Not our Captain Marvel.
It's not ours, of course.
From the 616 universe.
Yeah, it's of course the one from the 838 universe, which is a friend from the movie, right?
Photon.
Photon, yeah.
That's her code name. Captain Marvel's code name was Avenger, so that's how they got the Avengers Initiative.
And then the next one that they reveal is Reed Richards, right?
Was it Reed or was it someone else before? Black Bolt.
Black Bolt, right.
Yeah.
Black Bolt comes out, and of course, being a fan of Lego games, I just brought it up, I'm going to bring it up again. Being a fan of Lego games, I learned who this was from Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, which actually involved Atalon, I don't know.
Their universe, yeah.
The Inhumans place.
Yeah.
And of course, I now know that Black Bolt is the king of the Inhumans.
Yeah, and they had a short-lived series on ABC, which people didn't, particularly like. I've watched it. It's kind of horrible, but he plays the same character in that.
Yeah.
And then they did the big reveal of 2 other characters.
Yeah, and then I think the first one was Reed Richards.
Reed Richards, and it was The Office's John
Krasinski. There you go.
I was going to say it wrong, so you had to say it first.
Well, I mean, it's Polish. That's what our last name is.
Ski. He's son of something, yeah.
Son of
The Office. I don't know.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, son of The Office.
And he comes out, which people were speculating for like years.
Fan favorite, like they really wanted him to play Reed Richards. Which I don't know if you know this, you probably do because I talk about it a lot.
You do.
Fantastic Four was one of my favorite comic books growing up, and so I love the Fantastic Four. I'm excited because these other 2 Fantastic Fours, the first one was watchable, second one, yeah, it's all right. The third time they tried to do it, it was, or the second time they tried to do it wasn't very good. I'm really excited, especially if he's going to be playing. Now, I wasn't excited with what happened later on. I was just waiting for him to do an Office look at the camera, though. That's what I really wanted one of those. I thought that would have been best.
Yeah, when we were watching, I turned to my friend and I was like, "Is this before or after The Office?" Almost directly after that. Like, there was a little bit of dialogue in between. But then comes out good old Professor X.
Yeah, and he's a lot of people don't know, or maybe they don't know the deep cut that's involved in this. It's from the cartoon 97, like X-Men 97, that they're getting ready to redo for Disney Plus.
His suit is the same and the chair is the same from that. And then they have the soundtrack going, and everyone who saw that series is probably like getting nostalgic.
Yeah, they were just losing their minds. He had the green suit, and like you said, that yellow wheelchair. Yeah, hover chair, I guess is more accurate. And just, he's our Professor X. It's funny, they were talking to the one guy about the variants on Loki and the variants, in the other universes. And, they just look like the same people. It's nobody different. Something that they said on there was the timelines that were trimmed or supposed to be trimmed. That's why the variants look different. Most everywhere else, they might be the same.
Yeah, I do like that they put him back in the MCU in some way, which I'm sure they're going to do later because Marvel had bought those characters, right?
Yeah, they bought the characters. So there's, the fan favorite of John, and they really want his wife, Emily Blunt, to play Sue Storm. I have also heard that Seth Rogen might do the voice of the Thing.
Yeah.
Not sure about Johnny, Flash, Sue's brother. He said he had the siblings already, so that would totally be different from if they decided. Now, this is a different universe, so if they decided to do the kids right away, they do have some kids, which brings us, to the Man with No Name. Brings us to King the Conqueror, because that's a Richards from the
he's like
34th, 32nd universe.
Great. Just stop me whenever. Great.
So that he's, they had basically captured Mordo with the T. It had I can't think of what it was called, but something in there which stops the magic user for 3 minutes.
The time thingy.
From being able to use magic. I don't think it was a time, so some kind of sands of something. And so that was in the cuffs that he wore, and they took him in front of the Illuminati with Ultron bots.
Yeah, they had the Ultron bots, which I don't know if they just like took control of them,
or if Ultron just was on their team. I mean, we don't know.
Maybe Stark's plan actually worked, and it's like a big suit of armor around the world.
Could be. We don't see an Iron Man. People were upset about that. They wanted Tom Cruise. The writer said that they had talked about it. They just couldn't. Tom Cruise is doing a lot of movies right now. He's getting ready to come up with another Top Gun here soon.
That's true.
And he's also doing his the Mission Impossible movies. I think he's doing 2 of those back to back. So his schedule was kind of booked, couldn't do it, but people wanted Superior Iron Man. They thought that would have took people over the top.
Yeah.
Our little fears were crushed within a matter of minutes. It was almost like, you're probably not familiar, maybe some of our audience members are, Mike Tyson. But Mike Tyson was, a big, huge boxer back in the day, and he would defeat these guys in like, 15, 20, 30, 50 seconds or whatever of a round. They wouldn't even be in the fight yet, and they would still, everybody be selling down and the fight would be over. Our Doctor Strange for this universe, for our universe in the 838 was saying, hey, you got to check out Wanda. You got to check out Wanda. Wanda's sleepwalking right now and she's coming to get you.
I don't think the word is sleepwalking.
It's something like that.
Dreamcasting?
Dream something.
Dreamwalking, dreamcasting, something like that.
Yeah.
And of course, I know Mike Tyson. I've played Punch-Out.
Oh, well, there you go. So you do know. Yeah. Well, I don't know what you know and what you don't know.
I'm a smart man. I'm pretty sure it's called dreamcasting.
Yeah, I wrote it down, but I don't see it in my notes. So
because you have like 6 pages of notes.
Yeah, so I just like to take a lot of notes so we can talk about all of the above.
She comes in and you see her like crush the heads of the Ultron bots and like she gets all this oil over her that looks like blood. It's like supposed to be this horror moment. Starts this whole thing where they have to run away, and for some reason Christine from this universe tries to shoot the ever powerful Scarlet Witch. Of course, that's actually after the fight with the Illuminati, and like the Illuminati comes out. They do this whole fight scene where like 4 of them come out, and you just see like apparently one of the smartest men in the Marvel universe be like, hey, this guy over here, he has a cool power that can kill you.
So Dreamwalking, I did find it. That's what it's called.
I knew it.
She basically, Reed Richards said, oh yeah, Black Bolt's got a voice, he's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then she took away his voice, and then it just escalated from there.
Voice?
Well, she closed it up kind of like Matrix style.
I was going to say kind of like Beetlejuice.
Oh man, she just went through all of them.
She just like basically snapped them all out of existence. I wish I had like a Marvel like coincide to kind of like attune that to.
Yeah, it was just like it didn't give us any time to think about it or anything. Black Bolt started to say something because all of a sudden he couldn't speak and then blew the back of his head off.
Yeah.
And then Reed Richards was shredded into the shredder
and then his head was popped like a pinata.
Like a balloon or something. And then after that, it was the 2 ladies that were going after
Captain Carter and Captain Marvel, the 2 captains, of course.
Yeah, so they were going after her with the shield. And she had like a cool, I thought that Captain Carter's little jetpack was really cool. I told you that when we were watching.
I saw her like land with the jetpack, and I was like, where did she get this like random jetpack?
It's like just an added feature that she had that was just really cool. And so she was doing that and then got sliced in half. Captain Carter goes after her with full energy blast, and she's just taken it and throws her under some big statue. I don't know why they had all these statues in there, but she toppled one of the statues over on her.
It happens.
And then Professor X comes in, tries to save Wanda, like how he tries to save everybody. He tries to save the Phoenix and everybody else. And oh man, she just comes up from behind him, snaps his neck. And the only one that's left is Mordo.
Yeah, and then
Doctor Strange.
And then Doctor Strange is like doing that classic thing where they have the hero all locked up and supposedly he's just like dead lost. And then they're just like, yeah, well, you're like a jerk. And then the guy's like, all right, I'll fight you then.
So they start fighting. And then they're running, back to this secondary universe because I guess Christine, even though she doesn't like or love Doctor Strange, she'll help him. She helps him in every universe, but just doesn't love him.
Yeah.
And they're basically walking and stop.
Yeah.
Like, what are they stopping
for? They're running away, and then they close the blast door, and apparently, like, they just can't hear her for a second. And they're like, wait, everybody, stop for a second. She's not coming through the door. Obviously, we can just stand here for at least another 2 minutes. She's not coming through anytime soon. Let's all take a breather.
Take a pause. We're right in the middle of this big battle.
Let's all do yoga real quick. Everyone do.
We saw her just pop
pose.
Everybody's head up and keep defeat, like 5 of the biggest folks ever.
Yeah, and they're just gone. So we'll stay here for a minute. Once she gets through the door, we'll tell her, all right, time in, and then we'll run away.
Yeah, so it was like they just took a big break right there. So meanwhile, you have her doing that dream walking because she had basically gone to, we didn't talk about Cumberbatch or whatever, but she was attacking, Scarlet Witch was attacking Cumberbatch. She got in there, boy, and really wrecked them.
I mean, all those like sorcerers, I'm sorry, we're jumping around the movie a lot. There was all these sorcerers and they were protecting this one thing. And then this one guy looked a little bit scared and she just like got into his mind. It was like, hey bro, run. And then he was like, she's right. And then he just started running. He forcefully bumped into all these people, making them all drop their shields. She gets in, kills them all in a matter of minutes. And then she walks into the room like the first room and gets trapped immediately. Like, how are you able to kill all these people and then fall for the first trap that's set?
She gets trapped in the mirror zone, and that brings some really cool scenes, some really scary scenes of her breaking out of the mirror zone.
And then she uses like all reflections to try and get at America and Wong, and it's just this cool scene where they're like covering up all the things, and you see her eye in some places. And
once they leave all of that, one of the folks or one of the sorcerers gets hold of the Darkhold.
Yeah.
And so then she can't, use the Darkhold. She gets together with Wong, and he tells her about there's a place.
There's this place that is like the Darkhold is just a copy, and we can go here, and that's where it's actually written down. And she's just like, tell me where it is, or I'll torture these dead people that I just brought back to life. And he's like, what? No, don't do that. And then they like fly off to this magical place that's all evil. He brings up like foreshadowing where it's like, no sorcerer can get in there. And she's like, sick. And then she like picks him up and then flies him in there. He's all amazed. He's like, whoa, that was crazy. This place is meant for me. And she's like looking at all the walls and all the incantations, all the evil things. It's like she starts dreamcasting again, because why wouldn't she? Because she can just like go to any dimension that she wants.
So let's see, where were they at?
Bad place.
Wondergore Mountain.
That's a weird name.
Yeah, because I almost thought that it was like it's just one letter away from Wanda. It's Wondergore.
Yeah. And then she starts dreamcasting. A bunch of stuff happens. She dreamcasts, gets to America, takes her back to the bad place.
And that dreamcast was part of the Illuminati and taking down the Illuminati and running after Strange, running after America Chavez and that Christine. And in where the book of Vashante was in this new universe, or it might have been the same.
It's the same one. It's just like a bunch of doors that lead to the same place.
Strange and Christine go off in one direction, and Wanda takes America in the other direction back to Wondergore Mountain.
She's like gonna kill her or whatever, and then Doctor Strange goes to this other place where it's like all messed up. It's kind of reminiscent of that one episode of What If.
Yeah, he goes to another universe that we're not really sure what they ever give it a name, but they go to the Sanctum Sanctorum, and it's like on the edge of town, really creepy looking, like one of these old houses, like the Nightmare on Elm Street house or something like that, with bones underneath all these dead bodies, and like there's water coming in, like half the walls are down and all kinds of stuff. And he goes, because they're trying to find another Doctor Strange for a possible another Darkhold.
Yeah, and he goes up there, and then they have like this whole conversation about how they used to have a sister and how he blames himself or whatever. Well, they have this cool musical battle where they like use the sounds from the instrument.
Yeah, so the treble clefs and the lines of music.
Yeah.
Our Doctor Strange started lifting the music from the song sheet, throwing them at the other Doctor Strange, and then he drew like some lines to catch the music, which was cool.
Yeah.
And then they were playing two really cool contemporary classical hymns back and forth fighting.
Of course, our Doctor Strange wins because he's the bomb. He gets the Darkhold. Christine walks in, she's like, whoa, this is bad, you can't be doing that with the Darkhold. He dreamwalks into the dead Strange from America's universe that's in our universe.
Yeah, the Defender Strange that had come over with her at the very beginning.
And he's dead, of course.
All mummified, almost.
Yeah, tries to fly to that one place, the Wondergore,
yeah. Wondergore Mountain.
And then he like gets attacked by all these like wraiths, kind of reminiscent of The Flash, that one episode.
He was chasing his death, basically.
Yeah.
He had all these wraiths after him, and then he basically, with Christine's help, he took over and made them like a new cape for himself, and then flew over to Wondergore Mountain.
Over them, and then he uses them to attack Wanda, of course, because she's all powerful. What are you going to do against her?
Throw all that stuff at her. She couldn't stop. And then come to find out, the same realization, he knew that, well, America knew at this point that she needed to die in order to save everybody.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, I get it now. You can kill me. I'm ready, I guess. Yeah. And then he's like, nah, believe. And she's like, I guess I got all my powers now.
Yeah, it was kind of like reminiscent of the talk that Hawkeye gave Wanda. If you go out that door, you're an Avenger now in the Age of Ultron. And so it's kind of like that pep talk. It's like, you got your powers now. And she's like, I got my powers. And he's like, I got my powers.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
She like punches her in the face, and then she gets taken over almost immediately because it's Wanda, and she just learned how to use her powers. And she's like, I guess I'll open a portal so she can see her kids, and the kids can see how bad she is right now.
Thought that it was good on one of the YouTubers was basically saying they punched her straight to hell. And so the place that they punched her, she punched her to at the beginning looked like hell. And then I guess she rethought it. She was like, what is Wanda's biggest hell with being without her kids?
Yeah.
So she showed it to her kids and she's all maxed out looking like the Scarlet Witch and scares, the kids are sitting there watching a scary movie for anyone, which was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I mean, that sometimes that ride at Disney would scare, I know, my daughter, your sister, and and other people. And so they're scared of their mom, or not really their mom, but who their mom can turn into.
Yeah, and
it devastates her.
And then she's like, "Oh, my kids hate me because I'm so evil. I must stop." The Wanda that she walked into earlier comes down, and you're like, "Oh, it's the same one." And she like goes up to her and it's like, "They're in good care, bro."
She took care of them, and then she brings down Wondergore Mountain over top of herself. Some people speculate that maybe not. Maybe there's a flicker, when kind of goes down and she's all right. If you don't see a body, it's kind of Star Wars, Marvel, any kind of universe. You don't see a body. Possibility they could come back, and she's too strong of a character not to come back. So she could be dead, possibly. Don't know. Maybe. With the Superior Strange is what they called that other Strange from that one universe. At the very end, where he was fighting with the musical notes in the Darkhold, had the third eye. Yeah. And they always have these after credit scenes. So the first after credit scene,
after he fixed his watch, he's like walking down the street.
He's all happy. He's like, I'm done with Christine.
And then someone's like, "Are you feeling any effects from the Darkhold?" And he's like, "Nah, bro.
No, man, I'm fine. I'm totally cool."
And he tries to cross the street. He's like, "Oh, I'm feeling effects from the Darkhold."
And he starts screaming in the middle, and then all of a sudden pops the third eye out, and you're like, "What?" And
like, whoa, he's evil now.
He's evil, Doctor Strange. But that's the consequences, I guess, for messing with the Darkhold.
Yeah.
Then you see Clea, we mentioned a little bit earlier. I know I was trying to do a rap, trying to rhyme there. In the comic books, like they get married. There's a long history between them. She's like the niece or something of the granddaughter, your Dormammu. Yeah. So she's been the superior person over in the dark universe, and she like just kind of cuts open, into a universe.
Tears open a hole into a new reality.
She's like, there's an inversion, which they incursion, with the universes colliding. So they jump into the portal right away. He opens his third eye and they jump into the portal.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, well, I guess we'll see in Doctor Strange number 3 or something.
Yeah, so we'll see you next time. And then we're waiting around, all through the credits thinking, what's going to, they're going to show Thor. What are they going to do? What are they going to show next? Or
tease something.
What's next? What we got going on? And it's Pizza Popper. I mean, come on. And he's like punching himself still because Strange had pulled a thing on him. Yeah.
And incantation on him. And then he's like finally happy because it stopped and that was all we got.
This director, Sam Raimi, he did the original Spider-Man movies.
And that guy's always in it. You telling me about that.
And if you think about on Spider-Man movies, I mean, Sam Raimi must like pizza because he's got pizza like in every one of his movies. Because if you remember,
Pizza Time.
Peter Parker was delivering pizzas. Remember? He was working for a pizza place.
You sound like you're trying to do a Peter Pecker, like.
I know, it sounds like I'm trying to do the whole, yeah. And now it's Pizza Popper. I don't know if I really would want to try Pizza Popper. I think I'm good with regular pizza.
I'm fine with regular pizza as well.
Walking on red is fine, but I think I gotta have to have my pizza regular.
Yeah.
That's Doctor Strange and not and the Multiverse of Madness, but in the Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, make sure you get the title correct when you go to ask for the tickets because they might not. They'll give you the wrong film. Yep. So we want to jump right over into the show, or
yeah, that's all I have to say about it. We've only been talking about it for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, we talked enough about it, so we'll jump right into the show.
You are watching TV on the Hero Chat Show.
So Moon Knight, we talked about on our last episodes 1, 2, and 3. This time we'll be talking about
4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6. I'll just give you the little synopsis for number 4, The Tomb, to remind you.
Yep.
Mark and Steven must find balance as supernatural threats ahead look to stop them.
Yeah, and they're like going through all their memories and stuff.
Everything appears upside down. Khonshu is turned into this stone statue, and we're seeing the avatar of Osiris. I had to look that up. Of him put, Khonshu into the wall, and it's called the Chamber of the Gods. I looked that up too.
Yeah, because they have trapped so many of them. They have a full wall of it, and they have some tables around too.
I mean, goodness gracious, I guess they don't get along at all. It's like you don't get any severance or anything. You just get turned into a little token, put into the Chamber of the Gods, and that's it.
Yeah, they were showing that in the end credits too, more of them.
Yeah, never heard from again. They're in the desert, if you remember.
That big old desert that if you fall into, you die.
So they're in the desert. They were, looking for Amit. Keep wanting to say Emmett, like the old
like a movie.
No, it's what I'm thinking is a different. It's something from basically from Jim Henson, Emmett Otter. Anyway, so that's why I always think of the wrong thing. But it's Amit. Amit. Thank you. That's why you're here to pronounce everything I mispronounce.
Yeah, I'll stay right here and just stay quiet until you mispronounce something again.
You know, all throughout the series, it's like, you know, Layla's like she's not laying down, like she's just like going full force, like she's like, I'm not a damsel in distress, I can handle myself.
Yeah.
You know, Steven's knocked out over there, and she's like, I'm gonna take the, you know, these guys come along in their Jeep with a big old gun attached to it. I'm gonna take these guys on
because they've like established already that she's a good fighter, so you know she can.
Yeah, she's a little scrappy. They have a little nickname for her, Scarab, my little Scarab. That's what her dad calls her.
Yeah.
Which comes into play, you know, probably a little later on in another one of the episodes. She kind of, you know, thwarts them, blows them up, and then they're on their way, and they're going towards the tomb because, you know, they had to do the episode before where they found where the tomb is. They had to turn the knights back and all that with Kongshu, and that's what got Kongshu in trouble and turned into a stone statue.
Yeah.
Which he's in, you know, the Chamber of the Gods now. The next part is they go up to the tomb. You remember where they go to the tomb and everybody's like not in the tents and they're looking around for stuff to go into the tents.
Oh,
and
right, yeah.
Steven basically has a conversation with Layla saying that Mark said he was going to leave if Kongshu went away.
Yeah.
And Mark was saying that he couldn't go away because he was still worried about Layla's safety. And, you know, Steven's trying to snuggle up against Mark's wife, Layla.
Getting all cuddly, and then like they get down there and Mark takes control of the hand and punches him in the face.
And I liked what Layla said. She said, I wrote this down, his suit was his best feature. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
She wrote that down. So they're scrambling through all that stuff, and then they, you know, get some rope and get some flashlights and whatever, and they go inside the tomb. But everything was deserted. You know, it almost looked kind of, you know, talking about horror-esque type with what we were talking about with Doctor Strange. To me, it was like, you know, what are mummies going to come out? Like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
They make it into the tomb. You know, you see some kind of crazy stuff that goes on with Mark and Steven, and maybe somebody else gets kind of knocked out and then falls down into the tomb and everything. They get inside the tomb and they figure out it's like 6 passageways. So they're trying to figure out which passageway to go.
And then Steven's like, whoa, this is like the 5 senses. And he does that thing because that's like an actual thing.
Yeah, the Eye of Horus. So
Yeah.
he draws the Eye of Horus out, and then they start dissecting it. The eye, or the sight, hearing, smell, touch, and then the tongue. Figured out that the avatar would be the voice.
So they go to the longest tunnel, the tongue. They go past, and they find this room, and they're like, scary guy's coming. And then they both duck and hide.
Mark hides upstairs. There's an upstairs part because the guys mixed up because they didn't want to go the one way because it was full of blood.
Yeah.
There was like a smeared blood, and you were like, what's going on? And so you're trying to figure out what's going on. And then all of a sudden, like one of the protectors of the tomb comes back with, I'm not sure if it was Kennedy or if it was, I might have wrote it down, or if it was Fitzgerald. Oh, it was Billy Fitzgerald.
Oh, okay.
So remember Fitzgerald and Kennedy, the 2 guys that were working for Harrow or Amit?
Yeah, I remember all of them.
They brought him and they're killing him on the table, and Layla's like right underneath.
And it's like this big old scary thing that was put as protectors of this tomb.
Haika priest, what they were called.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know either, but that's what they was protecting. I guess back in the Egyptian times, the Haikas were the types of priest or priestess that would protect the tomb. So they were actually buried with the pharaoh. Like a lot of people were buried with pharaoh. They buried everything that you were going to need in the afterlife. They buried it with. So if you needed your car, like nowadays, your car is getting buried if you were a pharaoh.
Yeah, because they want you to have it in the afterlife.
Want to be driving around. They kind of get the attention of the Haika priest. Stephen goes one way. Layla goes the way of the blood, and you're like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen to her?
Yeah, it's like, I'm wondering where she's going, and of course, you see Steven go the other way because he kind of has to. It cuts back to Layla trying to like crawl over this small little area where she's like almost falling off, and a hand like almost grabs her through it, and she's like, whoa, and then it goes away. She gets across. She sees Harrow.
Yeah, and Harrow's giving her this whole speech about, do you know what about your father? You know what happened to your father?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear what happened to your father? And all this kind of stuff. And she's like, okay, already. You got the floor. Tell me about my father. What happened to my father? Like she kind of had given up, because she almost died trying to get to the other side of this area.
Yeah.
And so he tells her about what Mark did, basically executes her father. Everybody that's with her father, died.
Yeah.
What she doesn't realize is that Mark also almost died.
Yeah.
Which you find out later on. But, it's so funny, like we talked about it last time, like Harrow knows everything. Like, he's like almost omnipresent or something. Like he knows everything that's going on with all these characters. It's like he's watched the show before.
It's like he's doing what we're doing.
He's discussing the show with other people and going back, and he's in it. So Mark fights him, and he gets shot. He finds the tomb, and they get the voice of Amit.
Yeah, and then he gets shot. You're like, oh my goodness, what just happened?
Yeah, so he gets shot twice, and then it kind of fades to this Indiana Jones type movie with Dr. Stephen Grant, and Crawley is in there, and like the lady from the gift shop is in there. Supposedly somebody said that the other lady from the gift shop is in there, and Fitzgerald and Kennedy are in there. Harrow, you see Layla, and you see Stephen or Mark. I think it's Mark at that time in there, and they're calling weird bingo numbers, and it's all whited out, and it's like this place, and you're like trying to figure out, what this place is.
The bingo numbers that they were calling don't actually exist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I do remember somebody saying that. It was like weird numbers.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was, but like they said a number that was too high to be what it was.
Yeah, it was B22, G15, O73, B7, N39, and B12.
I think how it is like B is 1 to like 16 maybe, or something like that, and then everything is set up like that. Like this one would be like I would be 17 to maybe like 20. I don't know. I don't really know how bingo works, but that's how it's set up. And some of the numbers that we're calling don't exist.
Mark falls out of this, wheelchair, kind of attached to it like he was back in the, first episode, to his bed.
Yeah.
He meets with Harrow, and then he basically kind of starts down the hallway, and he notices a sarcophagus. Steven's in it.
Yeah, he opens it, and Steven's in there.
And they pass another sarcophagus. They don't open that one, but it's red, and there's some speculation that we'll probably get into a little later on who that person is. And then they run into, I'll say this name wrong, Tawarit, who's this hippopotamus elephant type animal from Egyptian time, and she's like, hi.
Yeah, and then they both scream. Of course, Steven reacting more to it with like falling backwards while screaming. Then the episode cuts off, and that's the end of episode 4.
And then you go into episode 5. In episode 5, you find out it's an asylum. So Mark and Steven search through their memories to find the truth, to see what was left behind.
Yeah.
And what we see is that Mark had a brother, and they're going through this place. You see his brother die. A woman said that it's your fault. And then we see where episode 4, came to an end, where Tarawit says hi.
She's like telling him, this is like the afterlife or whatever. But she's also like, she also says this one thing where it's like it can range to however the human mind wants to perceive it, which explains like kind of different religion in the Marvel universe.
So that was some cool things. Kind of trippy, got into some trippy stuff, and Harrow was like the doctor, so he was like visiting with Harrow back and forth. So it was Dr. Harrow, and he was saying, to Mark, I didn't shoot you. He actually did shoot him, and Mark could see some stuff during, like when he would get up, like he could see the sandals, he could see certain things on from the other universe.
So it's to keep you in this kind of state of being like, what's real and what's not, which is actually very comic book accurate to the comic book that this show is based on, where it flips from a psychiatric hospital back to like Moon Knight fighting and stuff like that.
He said, how did he get there that day? And it was a rhinoceros hippopotamus type that got him there.
Yeah.
So, you could tell why he needs to be in an asylum. The hippo says that they're dead. Tells Mark and Steven, they're dead, like what you said. They're travelers to the Duwat, and that's basically the Egyptian underworld, like you said.
And Steven's like, whoa, I know all this because I'm great at this. And then Mark is all in disbelief. He's like, we're not dead. And then he pushes through a door, and he's like, whoa, we're dead.
Yeah, we're dead. She says they need to weigh out, balance the scales. So they have to balance the scales and figure out how to balance the scales. And she says their hearts are not full, but the boat is full of memories.
Yeah, so they're about to go back inside.
Show each other the truth, and you got to balance the scales.
Yeah. Which also in this episode, it flips back to Harrow as a doctor, and he says the same thing, like, maybe if you if you let Steven see what happened, you like tell him the truth or whatever.
Dr. Harrow says, did you think Mark created Steven to get away from bad thing?
Yeah.
Do you think that Steven created Mark to get back at Mom for not opening up to Steven? It all surrounds the death of his brother, and that he feels that he's responsible, and his mom feels that he's responsible, and his mom doesn't treat him very right. So you come to find out through all these memories and everything that he basically creates Steven to kind of
deal with trauma and have like a happy life instead of the one that he had.
Couldn't deal with his mom's death. He couldn't deal with her when she was living. I mean, it was just terrible. And Steven's trying to go through there. Mark doesn't want him to see any of it.
You see like them both as a young child, and you see him switch for the first time.
Yeah.
In the same memories, Steven wants to see more because he wants to know all of what happened, not just what happened in the past.
I thought that it was pretty funny that at one point when they were doing the back and forth, with Dr. Harrow, that he said that he looked like Ned Flanders. I thought that was pretty funny from The Simpsons.
From The Simpsons, yeah, because once he said that, you're like, he does
look like for Ned Flanders. You're like, wait a minute. So that was kind of cool. So Steven consults Mark about mom and brother's death. Steven says to Mark on the boat, but actually he goes overboard. So this time Steven saves Mark.
Yeah, Steven's like, you got this, Mark, but if you got this, so do I. And he goes and like helps him. And then
they finally saw the memories and got everything straight.
And then he sacrifices himself to save Mark. And he falls overboard, and he gets turned to stone while he's reaching out for Mark.
And then the scales are balanced from what Terowitz says, and it closes with Mark in the field of reeds.
With a song about, like, what's it about? I forgot. It's like, I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't write down the name of the song that they go into, but
it's relevant to what's happening. That's why I was trying to bring it up.
He didn't want Steven to see any of that because that's why he created Steven, not seeing that, but by Steven seeing that, they were like his one now. Mark's on the other side now, and he's able to enjoy Egyptian heaven, so to speak.
Episode.
And the 6th episode is called Gods and Monsters, and it says, the synopsis on Disney Plus is, as Moon Knight joins the fray, Mark, Steven, and Khonshu must work together to stop Ammit. 2 people pull Mark from the water that we saw him in the tomb.
Yeah. And
they give Ammit, those little stone things are called, I might say it wrong, Ushabti, or Ushabti.
I don't know.
Ushabti, I don't know. To Harrow of Ammit. So they basically got it off of Mark. That's why they were pulling him out. Layla's still in the tomb. I mean, badass. You know what I mean? She's just hanging around.
She's like watching. She's like, oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So she's like, still there. Harrow, takes the thing, breaks it. His cane turns sideways.
Yeah, it turns from 2 crocodile heads to 1 big one and like an axe.
I don't think he breaks it quite yet. I think he breaks it actually in the big tomb.
He doesn't break it, but I think he gets more powerful in that moment when he has it.
Yeah, Layla, real quickly while everything is going on, she kind of checks on Mark's body and she sobs. Harrow left the scarab on Mark's
on his body,
and you're wondering, like, why did he leave the scarab? Like, but he doesn't need it anymore. He found the Ushabti for Ammit, and so he doesn't need it anymore. But it basically is now helping Layla to be able to find them and where they're going.
Yeah.
So she kind of goes with them. This doesn't make sense to me, but anyway, I guess they were just trying to get into the episode. They're in the desert, and they roll up on the road real quick, and they're at a checkpoint. I'm like, they could have bypassed that. Like, why did they just stay in the sand? I didn't understand that whole. Like, why did they could have gone past the checkpoint? But anyway, in the show, I guess it was in the script. So
maybe that was the only way back to the town they were going to.
I guess, but they had to go through a checkpoint. They had some people there. He uses the staff, Harrow does, and says we're going to find out, who's real believers quicker than, what they did with the whole process before. He does the staff and everybody finds. And only one of the guards was, and the rest of them kind of die.
Which is probably accurate.
She's still with them. She jumps out because she's like, she's pissed. She's like, I'm going to kill him. He killed Mark. That's my husband, and Steven I was just falling in love with.
Like walking up to him, and then you see this like mustached dead man on the ground, and apparently Tawada has taken over this man's body and starts talking to her.
Yeah, because Mark told her to get to her somehow, so she's talking through the dead, trying to stop her, and she thought she was like seeing things, and these dead bodies kept talking to her. She basically said if Mark can return to life, he's going to need Khonshu, so you need to break in. Get his Ashanti in the Chamber of the Gods where we saw it, 4th episode.
After judging all these people, Harrow and his men and Layla, jumping back on the thing, all go to the Pyramid of Giza. They're like, they've been hiding this from us. And then you see like the avatars of the gods that we had seen earlier in the series. And then it just cuts to a scene where they're already dead.
Yeah, they try to stop Ammit and they can't. And so then he breaks the Ashanti, and I think Layla breaks the Ashanti as well for Khonshu, and he said he doesn't sense Mark.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, you want to be my avatar? And she's like, nah, I've seen what you done to Steven and Mark. I'm not down for that. Like, I think at this point, it then cuts to Mark and Steven, right?
It basically, I just want to say one thing. I really liked, I wrote that down, that he calls her a plain little bug. You know, Kongshu always has these little
Called Steven a worm.
Yeah, so he has these little names for him, so I wrote that down. So Amit says, let's purify the souls of Karo and then the world, and they defeated the folks. And then you cut back to Terawit. The scales are balanced. Your heart is full. The journey's over.
And he's all happy. He's like,
peace is what you've always wanted. It's so quiet. He even says it's so quiet. You know, it's never been so quiet.
Which is the same thing that Doc Ock said in No Way Home.
Mark's got this lingering feeling about Steven, you know.
You know, it's kind of like just letting someone die for you.
So he leaves it. He goes back to Steven. Steven's in the dirt near this temple.
He's like turning into stone, but for some reason feels the need to give this whole little speech about how we're two halves of the same whole and two sides of the same coin, and
become to love one another, you know, and now they're getting along. And so they don't fist pump, but they kind of join hands. And when they join hands, it goes over Steven, and I don't know if Mark's heart's there or not, but that heart that was weighed basically come alive, and the gates open.
Yeah.
And then Kongshu and Amit start to fight in the pyramid, and then Mark and Steven run into the temple.
They start this whole big fight that's gonna end. That's like gonna be the final fight of Moon Knight.
So when Mark goes through, he basically, you know, stands up in his body in the tomb, and Kongshu feels him.
And something that Tawada had said earlier is that even if I could put you back in that body, you're still gonna be going back to a body with holes in it.
Yeah.
Kongshu feels that they're there, so he like disappears from the temple, asks if he can do it, and it's like flashing back to that scene where he became Moon Knight, and he like rises. You can see like the bullets like going out of the body, the holes healing up, and then like the wrapping of the Moon Knight comes over. He's like fixing his sleeves, and it goes over, and then it's like a little bit slower, showing like this cool moment for the Moon Knight.
He supposedly flies, but there was speculation that he's not actually flying, that he's gliding, from what the director or the writer said. But he kind of flies over there. At the same time, Osiris's avatar is still alive. He's saying that, talking to Layla, and that they need avatars to fight. And so she doesn't want to be an avatar. So she basically asked Taret, she said, you know, can I be your temporary avatar? And I think she even talks Kongshu into having Steven be just a temporary avatar, not the full avatar anymore.
Yeah.
And then Moon Knight flies to the top of the pyramid where Harrow is, using the staff to basically overcome Cairo, Egypt. And all the souls are going into Amit and making Amit this, you know, huge. And then Kongshu's going after Amit,
and he's all huge.
And so followers of Amit or Amit's on the streets judging everyone. So their purple, you know, souls heal or go to Amit. They have the scales on the side.
Yeah, and Khonshu gets all big, and you like get the satisfactory moment because at every end shot of the credits, you would see this moon that changes its what is it called?
The not the seasons, but the phases.
The phase, it changes phases. Supposedly, this is when, you know, he's at his most powerful. So he gets all big and he like starts fighting, and then you see Mark in his Moon Knight outfit and Harrow both running up and down the pyramid respectfully, and they like, you see him jump and he knees him in the face, and it's like this cool shot where the gods are in the background and Moon Knight and Harrow are both fighting as well.
Layla becomes the Scarlet Scarab
because she had taken on the job from Tawada.
I thought it was fun. I didn't think about this, but I was reading an article that they were comparing her to the Falcon, and some of the moves that she does were the same as the Falcon, and they were wondering why they couldn't give her a different move. I didn't think about that when I was watching. I just thought it was cool because her costume was gold and she had the, you know, the wings and,
you know, what was funny?
the swords and everything.
I heard that they were comparing her to Wonder Woman from Wonder Woman
1984, yeah, which was a terrible movie. Oh my goodness.
Because she also had like the gold wings and such.
I could see that too. So they're all fighting Harrow, and then, you know, Amit and Kongshu are fighting, and they're real big behind. They kind of goes from the pyramids into the city. You know, they pin Layla a little bit. They always do that with the girl character. I don't know why they couldn't just get, you know, maybe Moon Knight was pinned and she was kicking his butt, because we hadn't really seen her in action. We've seen him in action, but we saw Mr. Knight pop out, and he was punching and doing, and you know, with his little numchuck type things.
You can see that they're called batons.
I like nunchucks better.
All right.
And I guess they don't have the chains, so they should be.
You can see the fact that Mark and Steven are now changing easier in between, so they can use it fightingly and in fighting style. So you see like this one scene where Mr. Knight throws his baton, hits a couple walls, hits a couple people, and then it comes back and Moon Knight catches it. And you just see them like switching in between like the fights, using the power that they have now. And it's this cool moment where it's like, wow, we can actually do this, and it's actually working now. It's no longer this thing that holds us back.
You had one of the young kids saying, are you like a girl superhero, you're a woman superhero or something, or Egyptian
she
superhero.
Says, are you like an Egyptian superhero? And she's like, yeah, I am.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool to see that. So they defeat him and everything, and take Amit back. And
Well, I feel like you just skipped an important part.
oh, I'm sorry, what did I skip?
You see that she's all pinned, and Harrow is about to like get the jump on Moon Knight and Mr. Knight.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then you see him like start to have this like mini seizure where he's switching, and it switches to this thing where it's like fire everywhere, everyone around is dead, and he's holding Harrow with like the scythe about to kill him, and he's like, "What just happened?" And he's like, "Steven, I'm assuming that wasn't you." He's like, "Nah, mate, that wasn't me.
Wasn't Steven or Mark," and he beat the crap out of him. And so they go back to the pyramid, and with the other souls, because the other avatars that died, they were channeling through him with Harrow in the middle, and brought Amit back down into him. That was the end of that, or so we think. They put him in the asylum.
Yeah.
Then you see a glove guy kind of walking through, and you're wondering what's going on, and you see him walk out to this white limo. And he gets in there, and he puts Harrow in the back, or Ned Flanders.
Yeah, he puts Ned Flanders into the back. Well, Mental's on patient now, and you see Khonshu sitting in the back in this like this proper suit, and it's all funny because it's like, what is happening? And he's like talking to Harrow about why would he release Mark and Steven when there's so much like more broken than they think they are. And he's like, meet my friend Jake Lockley, and you see him like turn around and it's still them, but it's a different altar.
Yeah, it's a different altar, and he turns around and he shoots
Harrow with a silencer,
and then they pull off into the white limo, not a cab like in the comic book, but a white limo with Spectre on the license plate. It was SPKTR on the license plate, which I thought was cool. And then that's the end of episode 6. Limited series. Don't know if it's coming back. Don't know if we're getting any more with Scarlet Scarab or Moon Knight or Harrow or Khonshu or the whole gang.
Something that I like is that for Jake Lockley, you can now assume that every time that there was like this mini seizure, it could have been him, or these scenes where there was like he killed those 2 other guys that he was trying to interrogate in like the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
And he could have been the one that was in the red sarcophagus in that one episode where he freed Mark, but not the other one. Not Mark, Steven.
Yeah, when he was fighting those bad guys and kind of blacked out.
Yeah.
And he did that a couple times. And you also saw it, 3 different mirrors in a lot of places. So that was, some other things that, we saw. And so it was cool to see, Jake, but if they don't take it anywhere, like, was it all for naught? So the series was really good.
I like the assumption that there is still a Moon Knight out there, and that I like in that in this universe there's a chance, like our like real life, there's a chance that it could come back and we can see like Jake's version of Moon Knight's suit and all this new stuff, because that could be also interesting. We just need the actor to sign off on it, because I think he only signed up for this one season and no movies.
I think he was he's basically booked up.
He's been in a lot of things recently.
That was Moon Knight.
Yep.
That concludes this portion of what we're watching on TV. We got a new segment this week, which we'll do whenever we visit a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
At the con with the Hero Chat Show.
So it was our first ever Comic-Con that we had gone to together or separate.
Yeah.
GalaxyCon Richmond.
Yep.
It was March 18th through the 20th. We decided to go on one day and go the whole time.
On a Saturday, I believe.
Saturday was when we went. It looks like the exhibits start in the 200s and they go all the way up to 1900. That's probably about 1700 exhibitors.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's a total number or not. So we walked the floor. We're not big buyers of product or anything.
We're not the richest people, so we weren't really browsing to buy, but we were really browsing to see what was around, and you could see some people that would draw things from anime or Marvel or things like that. You could see replicas, of weapons in different shows, and
Legos,
people,
and
Legos of everything.
And they had the Funko Pops and
Funko Pops. Those were
comic
really
books, of course, all over.
And that's the first thing we did when we got into that con, and we looked around the entire thing.
People signing autographs. You could stand in line and get different autographs. They had, from the A people to all the way to B and C and D listers, and then they also had people that would do the costuming, that would go out there and
the cosplays
and stuff. They were signing, some of the bigger cosplay folks.
Yeah, and there was this little cosplay area that you could go stand in to find other people that would cosplay. And it was just this cooler area where you could, buy things if you wanted to and if you had enough money.
Yeah, we didn't really buy anything. We didn't have a lot of funds, but I don't know if we really would have bought anything anyway. We might have. Probably. So we were walking around the, seeing that stuff, and then they have panels. And like I said, this is our first Comic-Con. We don't know anything about it. We didn't know if you had to have a special ticket, or we know you have to pay to go see. We knew you had to go. That's like a given. You got to pay to go see all the famous people or whatnot.
Like get the autographs and things, and like shake their hand or whatever. I don't know if you would shake their hand.
Yeah, 5, 10, or I think they start $20, $40, and then on up. I think Captain Kirk was probably a couple $100 or $300 or whatever.
Yeah, and they had some really cool people at this con, at least in my opinion.
They really did. So you and I decided to go upstairs and find out where the panels were, and see if we could get into the panels or what you had to do that. We didn't know. So we just went up there and we had looked at the panel sheet that they had, and we were trying to figure out, what kind of would be cool and what could we agree upon. So the first one that we agreed upon was the Woman of 1,000 Voices, Tara Strong.
Tara Strong, which she does tons of things. I'm sure, and all our listeners have heard of at least one. Which you always like to say, played Miss Minutes and Loki, which I don't know why it's the first thing you would bring up.
That's what I always bring up.
She did Bubbles and Powerpuff Girls. She did Raven and Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, I'm pretty sure.
My Little Pony.
She did My Little Pony. I'm struggling to think of more, but she did Timmy Turner right?
Yeah, Timmy Turner, and she also did Rugrats, I think.
Yeah.
So she's done a lot of voices, and that was a really cool. We didn't know what to expect. She had really high energy.
She did.
She's really cute, attractive lady too, so that doesn't hurt anything. She plays Harley Quinn too, by the way.
Right, she did a Harley Quinn. I think she played Harley Quinn in the games, I think she did. And so she was doing her voices, and people were asking her to do different voices, and people were asking questions. She did this one voice that was like Darth Bubbles. Yeah, she said she did that at one of the cons, and people were asking her to do it, and then it became a thing. And I guess somebody came to one of the cons and actually drew Bubbles as Darth Vader. Yeah, or Darth Bubbles. Yeah. She was answering questions. They had a young lady that was interviewing her, so she was asking questions, and then had people line up for questions. And they haven't released the video. I was checking on YouTube to see if they released any of the videos for this. No, I would think they would have released it by now. But if you see that particular one, I'm sitting right by where the microphone is, so you'll see me whenever they ask a question. I noticed that. I wanted to, because I kept looking behind, and I would notice that on the big screen where they would show like who was talking, sometimes you would just be sitting too far to the left, and you would just see your entire face, and I thought it was funny every time. You could see me on the big screen, so whenever they release that video, you'll be able to see me. Yeah. The second one that I think we went and grabbed some lunch, and then the second one we went to see was Boldly Going, a William Shatner Q&A. Yeah. So if you don't know who William Shatner is, he basically has utilized his whole life. For 3 years of his life, he played Captain Kirk on the Star Trek series. He actually went into space this last year. He's 90. His birthday was like around the corner, so he should be 91 now. And he's a spry guy. I mean, really a spry guy. There was he didn't have anybody. The guy said he's not going to have anybody interview him because he's just that kind of guy. It was funny because there was like so many people in line, but every time one person would ask him a question, he would go on this tangent for at least 6 minutes each. And I like by the time the first guy asked this question, I had like looked at everybody in line, and I made a bet to myself that I saw Mario and Luigi standing next to each other. I was like, I bet one of them is not going to be able to get their question answered. My buddy was out there, one of the guys that I interviewed on my first podcast, Under the Influence with DJ Jonni Bravo. He was out there with his nephew and I guess his sister, Boyd Headley. And I asked him or texted him, I said, "What do you think about Shatner?" And I said, I said, "Well, he didn't answer any of the questions." And but Boyd said, "Yeah, but he certainly talked about the next 3 things he's got coming up. He made sure he mentioned that." Yeah, which was funny because I remember that he said that he was going to talk about this one specific thing. And he never told us. Talked about it. He said if he forgot, somebody please remind him. And he never told us, so we're still hanging on to figure out what happened. But he was talking about Jeff Bledsoe's and going up in the rocket and why he was invited a day early. But he never revealed to us why he was invited a day early. But he was talking to us about his experience with the hydrogen strapped to the rocket and how hydrogen can blow you up. And he was worried about being blown up, and that was really funny. The way he would tell his stories was really nice too. Yeah, it was really cool. He was talking about, Scotty and Bones and Leonard Nimoy, Spock. He was talking about Bledsoe took him up to the rocket. And I guess, I don't know, we're still hanging on to figure out why he was invited a day early, but we're thinking the reason why he was invited early, his speculation was that maybe to get up to 15 flights of steps to get into the rocket. Because he had seen all these stairs, and he was like, all right, let's climb them. And then they were going up, and he got halfway, and then he turned to the audience and was like, Now I know why they invited me a day early to try to get this old fart up the stairs.
He was really funny, and it was really good to see him. Was it right after? Or did we?
It was in the same theater, and we didn't have to move for her to come out.
Yeah, it was like right after Evangeline Lilly. You know, she's been in The Hobbit. She's an Avenger. You know, she plays the Wasp.
The character with the wig that you hate.
Yeah, in the first one anyway. She was in Lost. She was in a bunch of different things. She was talking about her book series, so she didn't really answer anything about the next Avengers.
She wasn't really allowed to.
Somebody, I think it was in a different one. Somebody tried to ask a question, but I think that was in a different one that we.
No, that was her.
Was it her that they tried to ask blink twice or something if you're going to be in the next whatever movie?
Yeah.
Which was pretty funny. I thought that was funny.
He said it real quick, and I liked looking at his face after he said it because he was like...
Yeah, he was like looking at her like, hey, did you... And of course, she didn't blink or anything.
Yeah.
She was going over her book. She's been writing some books because she wrote some stuff growing up, and her mom said that she should do something with it, and so she decided to.
It's called like the Squeaker Wonkers or something?
Yeah, so it was really cool. And then one of the kids was asking her a question. One of the youth came up there. I think he was probably 12 or 14 or something, and she gave him all the books that she had up there, which I thought was you thought that was cool too.
I thought that was interesting. I like that she did that, but I'm sure it was just to like be like, hey,
promote the books.
This kid just got books.
Yeah, so you come get books too. Wasn't the last one of the day. We went to this was the next to the last one. It's Her Universe and Ashley Eckstein Q&A.
Good job.
Thank you. I actually pronounced somebody's name right. And she's the voice of Ahsoka Tano. Yeah. A lot of people were hoping that she would be the Ahsoka Tano in the series, and she's not.
Yeah.
And they did say not to ask that question or not to ask her questions about the current person who's playing Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
But man, if you closed your eyes, that just the way she just talked naturally, it was Ahsoka Tano. I mean, it's just like she was given all the different things that Ahsoka Tano said and some of her favorite lines, and she was really good too. She had a really good energy, and she's like done this whole product line to inspire. I think not only like girls, but clothing, for nerds and different things or whatever,
Because that's like most of the population or something that she said like that.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. So she had some really good energy. Our very last one was, before we went to the last one, we ran into my brother-in-law, my sister, and the nieces. They didn't know you could go to any panels. They were going around buying everything up, which we knew that they were. We were betting on how many bags they had.
Yeah.
I don't know if either one of us won.
I did. I got it completely right.
You did? What did I say? Did I say everybody's going to have a bag? And I guess I thought.
You said everyone's going to have a bag, and I said I think that a couple people are going to have a bag, and they're going to have at least one poster.
And they did. So you were right.
Yeah.
I think my sister didn't have a bag. The last one of the day that we went to, and we could have gone to more. I mean, they had panels up until
was after
9:15.
This one we went to before we saw them.
Oh, was it? We had just come from that one, right?
We had just come from that one. We ran into them as we were leaving.
Yeah, as we were leaving. So this one was Jim Starlin, which was really neat because we heard a lot of old stories about Stan Lee.
Yeah.
And Jim Starlin, if you don't know, he's basically, he did Drax. He did
Captain Marvel.
He also did Shang-Chi.
Thanos.
So he's done a bunch of characters and other characters for DC and even his own comic books. He started, I think, 70s and 80s. He's a Vietnam War veteran. So his stories were, I thought, really, I don't know what you thought, what your interpretation of it was.
I liked him. I thought he was really funny in the way he told stories. In the way that there was this one story that I just remembered, and it was that, I don't know what it was, but they were like having a meeting, and Stanley would walk in with his glasses, and he would put his glasses down on the chair, and he would like climb over on the table to look at something, and he would climb back and sit down on the chair, and he would break his glasses, and he would just like lay his hand on like the intercom and be like, I don't know, I'm gonna say, Sherry, I did it again.
Got to get some glasses. So he was a card. He's gotten thrown off a lot of projects, and so I don't think it really bothered him that bad either. From what he said, he's always had work. He was just really eclectic. It was really cool. So all the panels that we went to, I thought were just really top notch. We didn't meet any celebrities. We didn't pay any. I don't really want to pay money to meet celebrities. Some people do that. I mean, it's what they do, but. You get home, you got a 8.5 5x10 or a t-shirt or something. Like, what are you going to do with it? You end up washing a t-shirt, it gets off there, you lose the portrait, and you've paid $300 or $400. So to me, it's like, I don't know, William Shatner, he's going to not be around. He's 90 something. So maybe
it would go up in value.
Yeah, it would be good to see him. But I'm more of a Star Wars fan than I am a Star Trek fan. I mean, I enjoy Star Trek.
Yeah.
But you know the reason why I don't like Star Trek, and that's every time the captain goes down, it's like, come on, man. You got somebody else on this boat that's got to go down. The captain should never go down. He's always going. So that was the ComicCon. That was GalaxyCon.
They gave us this little like comic book design book too that told us everything about it.
Yeah, so we got a little book to tell us where the program guide, where everything was. I thought it was really well put together. You know, they had some really good folks there. They had top-notch people, middle-range people, voiceover actors that were not just middle of the road, but top. You know, Tara Strong and Ashley Eckstein. I mean, those are two big, you know, guys or women in the field of voiceover. And Jim Starlin and others. I mean, I just thought it was top-notch. You know, the Jim Starlin was in a smaller, you know, venue. When we saw Tara Strong, hers was in a smaller, you know, venue.
But
Not as small as Jim Starlin's, but
yeah.
And then of course Shatner's was in the big one, and so was the
Evangeline
and Evangeline Lilly. She was in the big one too, and I think Ashley was in that big one too.
She was too.
Yeah, so she was in there too. But so they had different levels of panel.
It's gonna make me want to go to more now because I enjoyed that one so much.
Yeah, so this is like our first taste of that, and I thought that it was cool that we got to tell my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and the nieces that hey, you can go to the panels, and so then they were all excited. But of course, it was already like 6:00, so I don't know how many panels they got to. They were going until like almost 10, so they probably got to some, but they might have missed some of the ones they really wanted to see. But they didn't know. I mean, we asked and we figured it out. Really cool. GalaxyCon in Richmond, and that was March 18th through the 20th. We went on the 19th, which was Saturday.
Yeah.
So that's the con. That's it.
I guess we can go into what we're going to be doing next.
Got down here. Join us, ZaneMan and Jonni Boy, the next time where we will discuss. We're going to take a look back in the archives and watch the Batman.
The Batman, see how that was after a little bit of time. It is a very long movie. I would say too long in my experience, but what do I know?
We're going to talk about the Batman, and then Star Wars Kenobi. We should have episode 1 and 2 of Star Wars Kenobi.
I'm excited for that. It seems like it's going to be good.
On Disney Plus.
With Ian McGregor.
They just announced that a lot of the Star Wars stuff coming out,
Mm-hmm.
the content for Disney Plus. So the next thing we're going to get summertime will be Andor. They said maybe late 2022 or early 2023. Mandalorian 3, and then Ahsoka coming up 2023.
Yeah.
And the next, Marvel is going to be
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Well, that's the movie, and then Ms. Marvel is the show.
Ms. Marvel, yeah.
And then She-Hulk has been put on the slate for August, I think 9th or 16th or something like that. They do have a date for it.
I know that.
Yeah. And we're going to go into the archives and talk about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order because there's some information about the new game that's coming out. So we'll talk about the old game, and then maybe we'll know some more about the new game. We can discuss that as well.
I really like that game.
Yeah. Check out the Hero Chat Show on Instagram, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Yeah, anywhere.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Attention listener. If you can hear this, then you've tuned in to our top secret radio frequency. But not to be alarmed. Kick back, relax, and enjoy. We're talking about Marvel and DC, but they don't have it all. At Star Wars, that's easy, but you know who to call. I'm talking about ZaneMan and Jonni Boy. The powers overflow with a master plan.